Good morning, my brothers and sisters, and all my friends. This morning we are going to talk about the power of Samskara, the power of upbringing, and the power of Mother, the first Guru. Mother can make all the difference in the world. A mother can build the heaven upon earth. A mother can create divine child. A mother has that power. And there had been many myths and many stories trying to explain this power of Mother, the first Guru. The mother has to, I want to call upon the great divine feminine power on the planet. I want to call upon all the mothers, all the young mothers on earth who could contribute to the transformation of the humanity. Mother Nature has already created genetic immortality. And through the genetic immortality, we establish a chain of genetic characters, genetic attributes, which define the behavior of that organism, that define the interaction of that organism with the universe, with the environment and the surroundings. We are going to talk about the power of Mother, the first Guru, and her teachings to achieve the immortality of human child, the human mind. How could we do that? To achieve the immortality of the eternal memory continuum, the eternal mind, which corresponds to, which merges into the universal consciousness, or we could say the eternal mind is the universal mind. And as we know that our mind is representing the whole microcosmos, every constituent of our body. So the universal mind represents all the constituents of the universe. It is so correlated, like in democracy. The leader we elect represents every constituent of that constituency. So, we have to recognize this power of Mother to create a divine human being. And we also know that the Mother Nature has stopped at that station of genetic immortality. And now this is our duty, this is our responsibility of the humanity to create and to recognize and to establish the great phenomena of mental immortality. And that is through the teachings of Mother, the Father, the Guru, the teacher. We know that Mother Nature stopped at the genetic immortality. So now we have to look towards the guru, the teacher, the someone who could show us the path towards the great immortality, so that we could establish the eternal memory continuum, and we could be aware about that eternal memory continuum of our soul, of our supreme consciousness, mental consciousness, because our mind dissolves into the supreme consciousness when it doesn't need to insist upon its personal identity, when it becomes like water, when it doesn't need to insist upon its form, its color, its taste, its sound, its feel, when it becomes all-knowing, when it realizes its universal character, when it realizes its universal representation through this microcosmos, and when it realizes the universal representation, it is representing the whole universe and every energy in the universe. Then it says, why should I insist upon my identity? What great about it anymore? So the mind dissolves into what they call in the great wisdom tradition of India, in the science of yoga, when they say the mind dissolves into, after taking away all those seeds, all those patterns, and burning those seeds so they don't germinate again. When it realizes this world is the playground of the attributes, gun hi gunon mein barat rahe, that it doesn't need to insist upon its personal identity, yet it is blessed with eternal memory continuum of knowing everything about itself and about the whole universe, like an omniscient. So my dear brothers and sisters, my dear friends, we need to walk on the path of the immortality, as it says so beautifully in the great mantra of the wisdom tradition of India. Mrityutma amritgamaya. Let me walk from mortality to the immortality. Tamsoma jyotirgamaya. Tamsoma jyotirgamaya. Mrityutma amritgamaya. My dear brothers and sisters, let's walk towards the immortality with the help of the great Guru, the first Guru on earth, the Mother. And how Mother could create that immortality, that great divine being? It all begins with the conception, with the fertilization of the egg and sperm. And from that time onwards, through the cell division, it is something like when the Lord says, Eko aham bahusham bhavati. I am one and I'll become many. And through the cell division, it makes its own body. Every thought a mother thinks in that time, for 9 months, she is manufacturing, she is building the body, not her own, but also the body of the child. And she must subscribe, she must think the thoughts which have the universal values, the thoughts of love and compassion, universal empathy. There is a story about the great mother, the first guru on earth who created a divine child, who stopped the genetic legacy of a child of a demon into a child of a divine human being, the first Devata. And his name was Prahlad, the name of the child. And Prahlad was the son of a demon king, Hiranyakashipu, and his wife was a Nagkanya belonging to the serpent race. And she took a vow and she made a resolution that I'm not going to have a child of a demon king, because Hiranyakashipu kidnapped her and made her consort, his queen. When she got pregnant, she made a vow and she took a promise to herself that she is not going to give birth to a child of a demon. So from the very first day, very first moment of conception, she was always thinking about the divine attributes. The divine attributes which have the greatest circle of compassion, like universal love, unconditional, all-inclusive compassion, honesty, equality, and loving everybody, the universal empathy and the universal goodwill. And through those thinking, those thoughts, as we know, the thoughts are the building blocks of our human body. With every thought, there is a chemical cascade in our body, in our mind. And that chemical cascade corresponds exactly like a template of that thought, the chemical template. And those chemicals will become the raw material to build the body of our cells and the constituents of every cell. My dear brothers and sisters, thoughts are so important. Thoughts are our building blocks of our body, and every 9 months and 10 months we renew every cell in our body, every bone in our body, every drop of the blood in our body. We change everything. We got the new body. It's like a new birth. So if we live for 100 years, we live here, we have more than 100 births. And it is something like 108 or something. And we could become, like in the great Indian tradition, or wisdom tradition, when we say, a great person who has gone beyond 100. And when we go beyond 100, towards 108, we become Sri. Sri Sri 108. This is what we used to address a gentleman, a great saint, or a great guy. So my dear brothers and sisters, every thought is important. So the queen, the consort of Hiranyakashipu, the great queen, the great Mother Kiradu, she took a vow, and she was so keen and careful with every thought. And with every thought of divine nature and divine attributes, she built the body of, not about herself, her body, but the body of the child, the body of the great Prahlad, the first human divine child, first Devata. That is the power of Mother. She defied the genetic legacy. Mother has that power. And if we call upon the great myths of Mother Mary, who created Jesus, the great Kunti, who created the Pandavas, to establish the rule of truth and Dharma. My dear brothers and sisters, there are many myths and many stories to illustrate the power of Mother. So we have to call upon all the mothers, all the young ladies, and all the divine feminine power on earth, that they must take this responsibility and help humanity to transform into the divine humanity. So they must make the resolution that every thought I'm going to think has to be the divine attribute of love and compassion, having the greatest circle of compassion, embracing the whole universe. And along with every thought, she must also be very careful about every word, and every word must be the word of universal compassion, with the universal constants and universal values and those divine attributes. And along with the word, she must have those actions. She must subscribe to those actions, divine actions of love and compassion. And my promise, she can create a divine child. And when after giving birth, her second phase of being the great guru begins with. And she must teach her child, and she must transform her child and make it certain that her child will follow the 5 universal truths. She must teach the 5 universal truths. And what are those 5 universal truths? That the human birth is the greatest cosmic opportunity in this universe. And the child must make the best of it, to establish the chain of good and the chain of universal good on earth. So that's the first universal truth. The second is the human body is the greatest cosmic instrument to create a chain of good actions, a chain of great thoughts and divine words, which through the NLP, neuro-linguistic programming of our own mind, and also the neuro-linguistic programming of our collective mind of society and of the humanity, we have that power of co-creation through our words. So she must teach that the human body is the greatest cosmic instrument of co-creation. And also, she must teach her child that the human mind is the greatest cosmic co-creator. And also, number 4, she must teach her child that you are here not an owner, you are a custodian of God. You are custodian of the universe. And you rule on behalf of God or the Supreme Consciousness or the Supreme Good. We could say the benevolent universe. So, not an honor, but a custodian. That must be the 4th universal truth, embedded so deeply and written in the rock in the mind of the child. And 5th, the child must be taught that there is no other path. There are infinite paths in the universe, but there is no path as straight as 90 degrees. And in order to save the energy and time, the child must follow the straight path towards the Supreme Consciousness, towards the universal consciousness. And that path is the path of universal goodwill and universal welfare. There is no other path which will lead to the Supreme Consciousness. So she must teach these 5 universal truths to the child, so that child will never use his body or her body to create evil or to create bad around or to set a chain of evil actions. So that child will never kill any other human being or any other sentient being and respect the life. Will respect the institution of life principle, which is trying to help us to evolve to the divine station of the divine human being. So my brothers and sisters, I call upon all the women, all the mothers, all the young ladies who are going to marry, they must take this responsibility of the first guru, the primary teacher of the human child. Thank you very much and have a beautiful day.